Hey guys, Ryan out in field, out in the shop today, and I ran out of propane, so I'm not forging anything today. So what I decided with my extra time, I'm going to build a new table for my forge because I'm using a recycled system. It's huge, like it's bigger than what I need. It's also too short. It was, I'll show you in a second. It was a table originally designed to hold an automatic saw blade sharpening system, so it had a lot of arms that did the whole thing, held water and all that. So, with my old sharpening business, that's where I got it from. So, it was dismantled because we needed it for other parts and all that jazz. So, what I'm doing today is I'm taking this old metal frame bench, which was used for like you could put like grinders on it, like any other piece of equipment you might need, like a bench grinder or something. That's my other forge table. It's got a cabinet underneath, which I never use. The deck is really huge. It just takes up too much space in my tiny shop. So this guy here is significantly smaller, but I'm going to do the frame that sits on it. I'm going to weld the frame to the top of it using some just 1-inch angle iron. And then I'm going to layer fire bricks across the top that I can change out. It'll also make it lighter so that I have to move it in the future. I can swap the bricks out and move the whole thing. Or I can eventually weld a flat bar on the top. But so my plan, I got it all finished at the top with a flat disc grinder so I can have something good to weld to. So I am not trying to weld through gloss and make good ground. But eventually, it's going to be like this. I'm going to set 2 sets of angle iron. I'm going to cut these down, but they're going to sit on top of it like this. Like this, and then I have a cross section laying across this way. Put the fire bricks in it, and then lay the forge on top. It's going to significantly reduce how much space this thing takes up. So that's the plan today. And then once I get it all welded up and built, I'm going to paint it, make it pretty fish. But yeah, so let's get to it. So basically, what I've done, I refinished the top so that way I get a good ground and I can have a clean surface to weld to. And then I'm out of propane anyway, so I can disconnect the forge from my system so I can do my fix with that. And then I get this giant, massive stand. I don't need additives to take up way too much room, especially my high low 14 by 14 shop. So, yeah, I'll try to keep this somewhat entertaining because I know just not everybody wants to watch people work, but yeah, I think I can be awful boring at times. So I'm going to make this a little longer than the forge so I have a spot in front. That way I can set my material in front of it while I'm working if I need to make adjustments. Plus I'm going to build a door that covers the front that's hooked to the frame here so I can swing it out of the way and I can retain a lot more heat that way. So it makes my forge a lot more efficient. So I'm going to leave my track a little longer than the forge itself. That way I can build a frame for the door. And I'm just going to build a little box out of angle iron. I can slide fire bricks in. So that way if they get cracked, I can just pop them out, pop new ones in. There's fire bricks right now. I mean, we have big box stores like Home Depot and Lowe's and Ace Hardware and stuff, and they're like a couple bucks a brick. They're super affordable. It's just a standard fire brick. I'm going to slide it in this way and then slide one on top, and that'll be the face for my door. And then when I make my hinge, I'm just going to weld a piece of half-inch rod to the frame and make an eyelet insert so the door drops down in and hooks to the frame. And that way, if I have to remove the door, pull the door right off the whole thing. So I'm going to try to make this as adaptable and as user-friendly as possible. So I'm kind of making this on the fly. So if I run into something that's not going to quite work, I'll have to redesign in a moment. But that's that's today's project. Handy silk stone. I like using silk stone, Mark steel. I had paint pens and stuff. I like silk stone because I can quick erase it and also heat resistant. So if you're working in the shop or the forge, you can mark your stuff with silk stone and it'll stand out from the heat. So you can still see what you're doing and it won't get erased by the heat. Where if you use like a pencil or paint, you can turn it off. So that's why I like using silk stone. So my base deck, I'm gonna go 3 foot. It's about 8 inches more than what I need, so I can lay 2 fire bricks down and have a deck, cut space in front of the forge. So if I just want to like pepper something while the forge is going, without having to adjust the flame, I can regulate temperature there. How's it going, guys? I don't understand what 67 is. I'm not really up to date on that. I probably make up with that. But 67. Is that all the other kids are saying? Hello. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Today, for those who are just joining, I'm making a new forge table because my big guy thing over here is just way too big and bulky and too short. So I like to have the forge the same height as my anvil or just higher, and this one's actually a little bit lower. And my shop's small, so I need to be able to use. Can you hear me? Pardon me. Oh,
Can you guys hear me now? I think I was connected to my Bluetooth speaker still. Let me see if I can make some adjustments here. Cool. I'm glad you guys came in. So what happened was I had a little sound bar in here I used in the podcast and stuff. So I'll probably reiterate everything I just talked about, just so that way you guys don't miss it. But today I'm building a new forge table because that was my old one. It's this giant metal cabinet I've been using. It was off a recycled automatic saw blade sharpening system because I used to own a sharpening service probably like 5 years ago or so, and then my tree service just exploded. So couldn't justify keeping the shop open. So I closed down the sharpening service and went full time into tree business and blacksmithing on my weekends. So that's where that system came from. It was an old recycled automatic saw blade sharpening system. So it's solid metal, which is really nice, but it's just too big and bulky in here, and it's too low for my anvil because I like to have the forge, the deck of the forge, the bottom base. I like to have that the same height as my anvil. That way, it makes for easier transfer over, and it's a whisker lower. So my new forge table system I'm building is off an old bench grinder stand. So I finished the top with a flat disc, so that way I can get good penetration when I weld to it, and make sure it's a nice, even, clean surface so I get a good ground. So today, that's what we're building. So I'm making the deck out of just some angle iron that I can lay fire bricks in and replace them as needed, or I can always just weld a solid flat plate in there. But that way, if I can pop the bricks out, if I have to go to move it, it'll save some weight, and it's a lot better height. It'll be a whisker higher than my anvil, which I would rather have as opposed to a little lower. So today, that's what we're building. This is where the new stand's gonna be. Pardon my camera work. Right here. It's just an old bench grinder stand. You can put other equipment on it too, but that's what it came from, was a bench grinder. But it's really light, easy to move. It's got a nice metal shelf on there, so if I have to put any hot work to chill off, I can put it down here and it won't warp or destroy anything because it's metal. And then once I get it all welded up, I'll paint it all, provided I have enough propane in my little heater to keep my shop warm. So I may have to paint it a little later because it's 14 degrees outside. I currently have like 73 degrees in here, so it should be fine for what I'm doing today. So, excuse me, it's that time of year. The chilling, my kids gave me a cold, as kids tend to do. Them little buggers are germ factories, much as we love them. Always sick or got something, so. Okay. So I'm using some soapstone to make my marks. It's going to be 3 feet long. That way I've got that nice flat pad in front. Hey, you stay put. In front of the forge. Carbide scribes also work really well. I just like the soapstone because it creates a nice contrast so you can see what you're marking. So it stands out really well. Plus, if you can mark on like really hot steel, something that's like red or orange glowing, you can still see. Whereas if you make a scratch, it'll kind of vanish into it. The scratch will stay, provided you don't mar the surface. But this stuff works really well on metal and hot steel. And if you don't like it, you can just wipe it off and remeasure if you have to. So I think I have a better piece. Oh, there we go. And I've got this nice little holder, and it's got a little bit of an angle on it so I can get a more pristine line versus square. And you can touch this up on a bench grinder or belt sander and just touch it a few times and resharpen it. So I'm going to make it 3 feet long. I picked up an angle iron just at the hardware store. You think I'd be more organized, but anybody who's got a shop knows you're never as organized as you should be. Oh, that's inconvenient. Been kind of jumping in and out of here, this shop, so I haven't been able to really keep my stuff where I need it because I'm always in a hurry. Because I only ever get a couple minutes out here, busy life as it were. I mean, we all have busy lives, but. I'm just going to cut these guys in my benchtop bandsaw. Hope it'll make you guys too seasick. It's always trouble doing it live. It's kind of hard to do all your camera prep so it's nice and smooth and easy, but unfortunately I really don't have time to, come on now, I don't really have time to do a lot of editing lately. Been way too busy. So this is just a Milwaukee Portaband bandsaw, and I have a Swag benchtop that works very nicely for whatever you need to be doing when it comes to cutting, especially smaller stuff. This is really nice for smaller stuff. You get real big stuff like C-channel and really big angle iron is kind of a pain just because you don't have the control so much. But if you get a big radial arm bandsaw, it's got a big frame and a clamp and all that, that's nice for big stuff. But get a little more, turn my heat on. It's cold here. Working in New England in 14 degrees, but I got heat out here at least for now until my propane runs out. So get my safety stuff on and we'll cut this stuff. And I'm sure my camera stand will be right in the way of what I need to do. Ooh, just barely. And this thing's got a really nice little light on it so you can see your work. And then it's a squeeze one, so you have to squeeze and hold it for it to cut. So I just put a little clamp on the trigger. Already in the way. They have nothing now. Got pieces cut. And again, I apologize for my camera work. It's extremely amateurish. But these are the cross pieces. I'll probably have to trim these a little bit once I get the framing set up. This is where my fire brick's gonna lay in. So I'll get my steel moved over, get you guys moved over. I only need a few pieces of angle iron. This probably would have been better to do this last time. At least you had something to look at other than the craziness. Okay. So we got our basic frame. Got my fire brick, which the forge is going to sit on top of the fire brick. I'm going to line the whole thing with bricks. That way I can just change them out as they break. And they're really affordable and they're cheap. So essentially this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have, and realistically I could probably just not even worry about the other two cross pieces here, you know, and set them in. But essentially this is what it's going to look like. I'll probably still cap it off just that way it's not square and sharp. Because the more user friendly I can make something, the better it's going to be. But essentially this is what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to have it set forward a little bit farther so it's not going to be perfectly centered. That way I've got a nice working space in front of where the forge body is going to be, and then I have room for my door. When I put it on, the door is going to swing out of the way, and I just use a pair of tongs to close it and open it. And it'll help retain the heat in my forge a lot better and keep it more efficient. And I'll end up having to use less propane to get, and I can still get more done because time is money. That's probably the wrong phrase for this situation, but basically, this is essentially what we're going to end up with. It's going to look like this with fire bricks all the way across. And I probably will still cap the ends and just leave a little bit so I can slide and pop them out with my finger on the back end. That way, if I have to move this, the bricks don't slide off and smash, because they are kind of brittle. But basically, this is kind of what we're going to end up with. Something like that. And the forge is just going to sit right on top of this. So now that I've got these in, I can take this measurement here, make sure I have enough room. 9 inches. So I got to cut these guys down to 9, and then I'm just going to set them right inside so they're flush like this. The fire brick will sit right in that corner on each end. And then once I got all these pieces cut, we'll weld it up. And then I'll weld it to the deck, and I think this is going to be a relatively quick and easy build. I'm going to leave a little extra room so I can make adjustments. The nice thing about being able to put the fire brick in there, these are already nice and square, and this is what I'm going to be using. So it'll save me a little time on the other end. Let's just confirm this is, in fact. Yep. Wonderful. I'm going to make them a whisker shorter so I don't have to fight with it. And then when I weld these up, I'll use magnets to kind of hold stuff in place. Magnets work really well for any metal work. Clamps work good too, of course. But for stuff like this, I like using magnets because it doesn't require like to be super perfectly tight and can't slip, because this is just a quick little table. It's not like I'm building a roll cage on a car or doing metal fabrication that requires certain specifications that need it to be perfect for what the use is. This is just a table, so I'm not overly concerned about it not being absolutely flawless. This has been on my list to build one of these and get this updated in my shop for a long time. So I'm going to cut these guys off real quick, and then I'm going to do a dry run with my forge and set it on top, make sure I like the layout, and then we'll get cracking. Okay, got our pieces cut. I'm They're just gonna fit right on the end, like this. And I probably won't even have to use a magnet, because I can just set the fire brick right on top and get it all tack welded into place. And that'll also help keep it nice and square. It's actually pretty good. I'm actually happy with that. And if I leave it a whisker bigger, that also will help keep stuff from sliding and moving around. And then I can still take the bricks out if it's a little bit bigger, because I don't want to have to fight with this if I have to replace the top at all. So. Unfortunately, I don't really have long enough clamps to squeeze it this way. I don't believe I do. I think they're all relatively short. Yeah. But there it goes. I'll have to, because there's some bend in the steel and it's not quite perfectly straight, I'm gonna have to hook one end, squeeze it over and hook it. So that is what it is. I don't have nothing special for a welder. It's just a regular Hobart welder you can get from hardware store. I got it from Tractor Supply. I mean, it works really good. It's 110, 120 volt flux core, which I'm not crazy about flux core. I prefer having shielded gas. And I prefer to have a 220 welder just because it's got way more punch, better amperage for it, and it gets way hotter, so you get better steel penetration. But this one does work fairly well for what it is. So I have no complaint. I can't really complain. It was also free. It was a hand-me-down for my metal shop. I keep the voltage up as high as I can. And then I'm gonna grab my safety stuff here. Just bear with me. Thank you for your patience. I left my helmet outside, so because it's an auto dim. Yeah, I have an auto dim helmet, so it has a battery in it that charges using solar, and I don't get enough light in here to keep it charged, so I got to put it outside before I use it so I can build that up so I don't get blinded. And now I gotta let it warm up because it's got condensation right inside. I'm gonna get my light set up so I can see better. Man, you'd think I would be more organized, but that is the trouble when you only have 10 minutes to do anything. You have to jump. When you only have a certain amount of time, I find it hard to like clean up after a project, because by the time I get done the project, I have to go inside and do my dad duties and my husband duties. So unfortunately, my personal life, my shop, personal life, it's all personal, but unfortunately a lot of my interests and stuff have to get put on the back burner because I have more important responsibilities like my children and my wife. So I can never just be perfectly organized. Always got too much to do. All right, I'll get this guy. I'm just gonna do tack welds to hold everything together. That way, if I need to make adjustments, I can just hit it with the grinder real quick, take the tack weld off. That's my little Hobart welder, flux core. Again, I don't care for flux core, but it still works. It just means a lot more cleanup, and you do get less penetration out of this smaller welder. But just gonna make sure I don't get blinded because I use this for grinding on occasion. And I want it to be able to adjust and not get flashed. Oh, if I plugged in. And of course, condensation, can't see nothing. And I tripped a breaker. I updated my main breaker, but I never updated the outlet. So I have a 20 amp breaker and a 15 amp outlet, so it doesn't always like to keep up. And I also have a heater going because it's cold. That's also drawing juice. Most amateur welder. And of course my helmet keeps strobing, so I see for a second, gone, see for a second, gone. And I decided, screw it, I won't bother tack welding it, I'm just going to weld it. I'd really love it if my helmet would cooperate and I can see what I'm doing instead of just going blind. So yes, if you're a blind man, apparently you can weld. Do the same on this side. Of course, my helmet's all fogged up. I can't see nothing. What a novel idea. Get the condensation off this stupid thing so I can frickin' see. And of course, as you breathe, it's cold outside, warmish in here. Can't see nothing because your breath just fogs it up. I'll get the side tack welded that I could swing it around and I can actually see what I'm doing. Now that that's all hooked up, I can pull these fire bricks out. I'm gonna throw a couple on the inside too, just to help keep it from bending and breaking. Imagine when you can see, wow. Welding on an angle or upside down is always a pain in the butt. Being able to be right above what you're working, it's a lot easier to lay a bead down, plus you have way more control. That's a lot nicer. And there goes the brake. So the downside, when you don't have a system that's unable to handle your own freaking equipment, you finally get going on a nice bead and power. Should kick the fan on, suck some of these fumes out. I got greedy trying to do a nice straight through weld instead of just patching it as I went. Maybe if I move it where I can see, that'll help. almost done. That's trouble when you have to do everything yourself. And time and money are always a factor. This was a nice big industrial shop, because I had the resources to be able to just do it right instead of having to get by. But like most of us small-time shop guys, that's all we do is just enough to where we can get by. That's all we can do. Ground is super important. If you don't have a good ground, you're not going to get a bite, and the weld won't stick. Cool. That was it. That's all I needed. Another 3 seconds. Cool. That came out a lot nicer than I thought I was gonna. That was a lot easier too. All right. So now, got my tabletop done. Just about. Now I gotta get the length I would like. And then I'm gonna weld it right to the deck. And then it's slap some fire bricks on it. Done. Quick, easy build. Honestly, what takes the longest time is filming yourself while you do this stuff. And I don't have to lay the whole thing with fire brick. I only need a couple spots in the front for the deck, in the prep work area, and then under each foot. So I do have enough fire brick to be able to put it in and start using it. But I also want to make my door, and I need at least 2 pieces for that. Ooh, that's toasty. Cool. Now, I need a wrench so I can take my fuel off my tank, and then I can set the forge on top of it and we can see what we have. Plus, I'm out of propane for my forge anyway, so I already have to take it off anyway so I can get fuel. Ooh, that was loud. My forge is actually heavier than the table. So this is what I'm going for. And get you guys scooched back so you can get a better view. So that's basically what I'm looking for. And then I'm going to build the door to sit here, and I can swing it out of the way because all my work is face on and to this side where I'm standing of the forge while I'm working because of where it's located in my shop. So actually, I think I'm going to back it up just a little bit. This is actually actually just about where I want it. Because I got a nice spot for a prep station. If I can lay 2 fire bricks here and bring it up, that would be ideal. So I think I'm going to scooch this back so it's flush with the back side. And if I can lay 2 fire bricks in the front, if I actually did 3, it's level with the bottom of the forge body. So if I do 2 more layers on top of this, but I want to be able to open the door. So I think I'm probably gonna build my door, and I won't worry about building this up because this is still a nice little spot. If I got to set something down right here, I got plenty of room to work with because these bricks are 4x9. I believe they're 4x9. So that gives me nice room to work, and I can put the door here, and when the door swings out, it'll be the same length, and I can kick it right around. I really like that. That came out way better than I thought it was gonna. So now I'm just gonna center this up, tack weld the whole deck in place. Try and keep it as centered as I can. That way it boy, that looks close enough for me. So I can take the forge back off the table now. And this is just a 3-burner LPG forge. I got it off Amazon. It's a Simmons store. Yeah, Simmons store forge. It's probably some off-brand Chinese, slap it up, but it cost me $125 on Amazon. And then I lined it. It came with the wool fighter, the fireproof stuff on the inside, and I just lined it with the powder cement mix. Get this guy hooked back up. Just in the spot to hook my ground. Might get a good bite. When it comes to welding, grounding is everything. If you don't have a good ground, you're not going to get a good connection, and you won't get good penetration. And I can never remember where I put my stuff down. You'd think I would have that figured out by now. Okay. Pick up my trip hazards. Make sure nobody is trying to ask me something. I'm going to tack weld the outsides, pull the fire bricks, and I'll weld the inside. Tack welding is usually just a little bead, but I'm actually happy with it, so I'm just gonna weld it. Only trouble with gloves, you end up hitting the button when you don't want to hit it. So whenever I have an extra length on it, where I hit the button, I just put a kink in it and use the kink, and I can break the little tab off of extra wire after. Cool. Now I don't have to worry about it falling over. Pull all my bricks out. I'm going to throw a couple welds on the inside because these little wire feed 120 volt Hobart welders don't have a lot of great penetration. They don't quite have the amperage that I would like, compared to a 220 welder. It's got way more snap. Makes a lot more reliable welds. They will work. You have to weld a lot slower to keep the heat, because otherwise the heat just distributes to the metal so fast it doesn't really penetrate as well. So you gotta weld a little slower. And you gotta weld a little more. Just needed one more. Oh. I feel like an amateur. Must be because I am. And I'm going to weld the bottom sides just a little bit. That should be plenty rugged. It's probably fine. If I can move it around like that, it's going to sit in one spot, so it's not really going to be the end of the world. But last thing I need is this thing to fall apart on me. It's always while you're using it breaks. So we'll just throw a little insurance in here. A little insurance policy, but it's probably overkill. Which, sure it is. It's like a 220 welder right now. You see a red glow on this side if you have real good penetration, and it ain't just biting. Which is why I'm kind of going overkill, because it doesn't have the punch through to really weld the steel together. So that's why I'm kind of going overboard in the welding for this, just because it doesn't have that penetration. Whereas the 220, no problem. You can melt the steel with it, but this doesn't have the amperage to be able to do that. There. That'll work. I think I'm going to turn my big fan on, because it is smoky in here. Should have turned that on earlier, but it would have caused the breaker to trip. Suck some of them things out. Hate to lose all my heat, because it's actually comfortable in here. But, I mean, basically that's the bulk of the work right there. The door is going to be a little more tedious. Not sponsored by Red Bull. But hey, Red Bull, if you're watching. I know it's probably not extreme enough for you, but and then for my door, it's 2 fire breaks worth is actually going to be perfect. So that one's going to be a little more tricky to come up to design, because I have to make a frame for the piece to slide into. So that one's going to be a little more tedious. It won't be nearly as fast. This does have a double door, so you can pass through the forge. My shop's too small, and for the kind of stuff I'm doing, I use all 3 burners from time to time, but I'm not doing. Everything in here is by hand. I don't have a press. I have a trial hammer, but I don't have a press or a power hammer or anything like that. So I'm doing everything by hand. So all my projects are small. So I'm not worried about this, how the deck's set up based on the size of the forge, because it's up against the wall anyway. Which The wall is lined with steel, and it's got fireproofing on the back side. Plus the forged door is insulated, so it holds the heat. I can almost put my hand on the back of the door while it's going. So the door is really well insulated, but unfortunately, I don't have the cool tools to be able to build some of the bigger things. So I'm not concerned with positioning. So as long as the door works, but essentially the door is going to be made of 2 fire bricks. I'm going to be able to slide them in this way or this way. I think it might be better to probably stack them this way because it'll fit a little nicer, and that'll cover up my door, and it'll be on a hinge and I can just slide it out of the way. So what I need to do, I need to make a bottom for them to sit in, sides, but I need the top open so I can slide and replace them. Because if they get cracked or broke, I need to be able to take them out and change them out. So that's going to be the tricky part. Trickier compared to the rest of this, but. So these guys are 9 inches. And that'll be 9 by 9. So it's nice, easy measurements. So they're 4.5. They're 4.5 by 9. I have a couple pieces. So what I'm thinking, something kind of like this, and it sets down into it, and do double wrap all the way around, weld all that together, and then put a rib on the backs on this face here to keep the top from doing this, and then I can put a handle on it and put the pin in, and then weld the pin to the side and have an eyelet on here with a stopper so it hits there and bottoms out, but I can pull the whole thing out and get it out of the way if I have to. So that's what I'm thinking. So 9 by 9. I'm gonna pop this guy off so I can use this as my work table now. And my old table, it's not level, tips a lot, it's a pain in the butt. So whenever I put something round in the forge, it runs away, which is always a pain. So this is a lot more, this is level now, and it's not tippy because the feet are the same dimensions. Like this would make a good anvil stand. But I'd rather use a hardwood block for my anvil because it absorbs a lot more sound. It's a lot more sound deadening. So. Angle iron. So I'm going to need 2, 4, 6, 7 pieces. 7 pieces that are 9 inches long. I have plenty of angle iron. This stuff is super cheap at the hardware store. It's just 1-inch angle iron. I think this is a 4-foot stick, and I think it ran me like 25 bucks. Four, 6, yeah, 7. Hope everybody's enjoying their New Year's. This year went by fast, that's for sure. That's 8 inches. And see, soap some. I can just wipe it off and start over. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I need? 7? 7. I could do math, do 9, 18, and work that way up, but me and math don't get along very well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wonderful. 7. Get these guys all sliced up. Oh, by the way, I discovered this winter edition, Fiji apple and ginger. It tastes exactly like it's labeled on the can. It tastes like a Fiji apple with ginger. It's awesome. Very delicious. The problem is, I tend to have more than I need. I don't need any of them, but here we are. And if you guys need a bandsaw for small stuff, these Porter bands are awesome. They're easy to do, easy to change the blades out. This is a swag bench top. It is fantastic. They come with, you can get the push guides for these. All the stuff I'm doing is not that precision in here. And so I just do a lot of freehanding, but they're really affordable. I think this came with an arm, so you could have it flat and have it drop. You have to hold the trigger, which drives me nuts because I like to be able to walk away and do something. But it doesn't have the quick shut off. But for this little tabletop stuff, it's fantastic. You can get it out of the way. I have it mounted right to the bench because this is my cut station. I use this thing all the time. It's got a light in it, which is really nice because you can see what you're cutting. I'm going to turn off my big fan real quick so I don't lose all my heat. It's 14 degrees outside and I like to stay halfway comfortable. When I first walked in the shop, it was cold. Everything had my anvil had frost on it. I should have taken a picture of it. It would look really cool, but yeah, cold. But you guys working on anything cool lately? Any cool projects you got going on? Yeah, I got bad habits. Oh, I guess we all do. But all right, let's go. Put my camera right in the way. Make sure I get it. keep doing count. So I don't know. That's it. Oh, relatively close, which is fine. It's just for a door, 4 forged, not building anything. Precision. I'm sure you noticed the ka-tonk, 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 ka-tonk sound. It's because there's a spot here that's got no teeth. So as it's cutting, it hits that spot and it's kind of gumming. And when you're using these little porter bands, you gotta make sure the saw does the cutting. Don't try and force through it because you're just gonna burn your blades up. Because these blades are designed to chip the teeth off and roll over before your metal does. That way it doesn't pinch and bind. Next thing you know, you get a broken blade and it's a big pow. Which this isn't strong enough nor big enough with enough power to really like explode. Plus it's got a really nice guard system on it. So if the band does break, it all stays contained. It's not going to flying across the room like some of the other band saws, horror stories you hear about. Like, I have a sawmill at my tree service business, and when one of those bands breaks, holy heck, your butt puckers, because it's like flying death. So those things are really nice for little small shops, especially because you're doing stuff so up close and tight to you. That's the last thing you need, something blowing up. But stuff happens. Always wear your eye protection when you're running a saw like that, especially those little metal sawdust flakes gets in your eye. Not good at all. Because when they connect to your eye, they're hot, so it burns into your eye, and you have to go to the doctors and then pull it out. You can't just flush it out. Because unfortunately, with metal, this camera stand is an absolute joke. That's what I get for nickel and diamond cheap hodgepodge. Okay, so I'm going to use my nicer bricks because I'm going to be putting new ones in here. So I want my newest, nicest ones to be for my layout. So my top is going to be facing away from me so I can remember that. I don't need to wrap the bottom necessarily because it's just a stopper. But I also want this to be kind of rugged. And when I weld it up, I'm going to leave the bricks in it when I weld it. That way it keeps everything nice and true. And the bricks will help hold everything in place for me. And then when I put the rod, the pin rod, I'm just going to weld it to one of these sides and extend it down a little farther so I can, when I get my forge set in place, I can put a stopper on it so it bottoms out there, but the door can still move freely, and then I can just slide it right out and get right out of the way. Now, I don't think I probably should wrap the bottom. You know what? Just wrap the bottom. That way everything has got a weld, a point of contact all the way across. I'm going to leave this lip on the top facing out. That way I can put a handle on it. Right now it's just a spacer. I could lay it across the other way. But essentially I'm just making a wrap box for it. And if the fire brick sticks above the frame a little bit, that's fine, because that I can use that to help grab and pull it out when I change it out. Or worst comes to worst, I pull the door off and hit it with a hammer, break the brick, and it comes out anyway. But I want to be able to put it back in. Oh, I'm not going to wrap it completely. I should just do this, because that way it'll help keep the top from doing this. Keep it all nice and trued up. Put that in the front, because I want it to sit tight to the forge face, so I don't want anything in that way. And this is, it won't be perfect when it's fired up, because you're still going to get flames coming around it, which I'm fine with. I just don't want it to, I want to retain as much heat as I can. So I'm going to weld this side up, tack the sides, that way I can flip it and weld the other side. But essentially, that's pretty much what I got. So now I'll have to get my metal rod, my steel pin here. I'm going to leave some extra length so it can hang down far enough. And I want to be able to weld it here so it doesn't have the collywobble flip-flops. So what I'll probably do. And if it's not perfectly centered, I'm fine with that. Really what I should do is shim this. Another piece. Where'd my other little guy go? He probably fell with the wayward way. Or I tossed it in the bucket and forgot, which that's what I probably did. This little one's just a shim. That way it's relatively square. That's looking better. Because I want the pin to sit on this lip so it's in the middle. That way it swings nicer. I need to find my other shim. Oh, right in front of me. Imagine that. Doesn't matter. It's just a door. Stop being fussy with it, Mr. Elmer. Okay, close enough. Well, good son of a gun. So now I need to be able to hook my ground to it. Excuse me. Which I can hook to that guy. So what I want to do, I'm going to slide this out a little bit. And I'm going to clamp this so that way I get a consistent connection. So I'm going to clamp my top corners. That way it can't open up on me for any reason. And this has a rubber boot on it, this C-clamp. So when I weld, I got to make sure I don't put that rubber on a spot because it'll just melt and it'll be stinky. You don't want that. And it looks pretty good. So I'm going to clamp the top. And because there's so many pieces, I don't want it to move. So I am going to do some clamping on this where I didn't clamp the bottom. Then I can hook my ground to that, and I have a good solid connection all the way around. And at least the fire brick will help retain the heat while I'm welding, so hopefully I'll get better penetration that way. And I didn't draw this out. I didn't really plan this out. Kind of had an idea of what I was going to do, and I'm just kind of doing it on the fly. So we might run into some snags here and there because I didn't sit down and map this whole thing out like I normally do with a project. Normally with a project, I actually plan it out and I take measurements and I draw and do templates and stuff, but I have limited time out here, as always. So we're just gonna hop to it. And that is extremely annoying. Can't even get a weld on without it tripping, because the fan's also on, taking up the juice. Plug that, turn this off, shut everything off, start again. It's always a pain. Makes for boring TV. Oh yeah, breaker's off. Duh. Why won't my light work? And yeah, my breaker is tripping because each section of my shop has a separate breaker. That's why I can keep my lights on when that trips, because my lights are wired into a different spot. So I always have power on my lights. If something dies, I'm not in the dark trying to figure something out. So we're just gonna have to do baby welds. The nice thing about welding on fire brick is nothing sticks to the brick, which is convenient. If you work on a metal table, sometimes you end up welding your project to the table. That's not convenient in any way. These little flux core welders are nice for really small gauge stuff because it can actually penetrate. It's a lot smaller mass, so it absorbs the heat faster and it retains the heat in one spot a little better because the whole piece warms up. Where if you're welding really thick stuff with a small welder, it just can't keep up with the heat distribution, so you don't get the penetration. But for a little stuff like this, like welding up billets of like knife stock that are like 1/8 inch and smaller, really convenient, heats the whole thing, welds good, penetrates well. And if you preheat the metal, sometimes that helps. But like if I had a hand torch, I could preheat the metal so it gets better penetration. But it's an extra step, it's an extra thing, and this does work. It's just a little more tedious, and you have to have a lot of practice with working with a lot of junk tools, junk equipment. When you get something really good, you appreciate the hell out of it, for starters. But it just, you already got through the big pain in the butt learning curve because you worked with something like this little welder here. When you bump up to like a 220, you look like a pro because you've been using one of these things for 4 years, but you used a brand new 220 and you look like a master welder, like the first bead, because you've been working with a hand-me-down bottom barrel junk, and then when you move up to the top, like it's smooth sailing, everything works great and efficiently. So that is the nice thing about starting at the bottom with tooling and working your way up. Start with nothing and work your way up, because you you get through all those learning curves before you get the new thing, and now you don't break a piece of equipment because you already know how to take care of it. You've already made all the mistakes, so it'll save you a lot more heartache when you get the nicer one, especially because it's a bigger investment. So you get more out of your money that way. And right in the bottom corners, I have a pretty good gap, so I'm actually having to build a bridge weld across. So I have to put a bead on this side, like a bump, and then a bump, and then alternate them, and build up the weld to meet in the middle, and then I can weld down over that. So it's making a bridge. But sometimes on that bridge, you don't get a great ground, so you have to start on one side and work over. And the bottom side that I have to be face on, I'm just tack welding it, an actual tack weld, which is just a little hot spot. That way it holds it together when I rotate it, and I can get it better vantage point, better, and then I can actually get a good effective bead on it. Cool. So now, I'm going to do a little tack welding next to my boots, being careful not to melt my clamp, not to melt the C-clamp to the steel, but I'll just do a quick little tack so that can't move, and then I can flip it. See how there's fire? Because I melted my boot. Exactly what I said I didn't want to do. Cool. So now, take these clamps off. It's all on. Phew, that stinks. Burning rubber. Good place for you. And now, we have the makings of our door. I'm going to flip it over, and now I can weld the rest of it. And we can weld our pin on. And the bricks are awful tight. They're not going to want to come out of there. Because, as you can see, it's not even. Which is fine. Because the odds of this breaking, not too good. So, and if it does, whatever. They will come out. But they might have to come out by force. So that's the only trouble with doing it on the fly. But I can move them some, so I could get them out of there if I really work at it. But at the end of the day, this is probably a permanent thing, which is the plan of anyway, and I don't really care that much. It's just the door. Don't let perfection get in the way of being good enough, because you're not getting anything done. So now, tack, finish welding that. After, we're going to tack all this side here. I'm going to weld the top, actually. Let's weld the top. Should we weld the top? Let's weld the top. We'll do it live! Screw it! That is now going to the ground. The other thing that's a pain about flux core is you get these little pellets welded all over your surface because it splatters a lot, makes a lot of mess. So that's the only trouble with flux core. It makes a lot more cleanup after. But when it's something like this, that's fine because I'm just going to paint it and call it a day. I really don't care that much. But if you're working on anything really nice, flux core is kind of a pain for that. Or if you really care about the output of it, you know, you want it to look nice because it's for a customer. It's for a customer. I typically don't like to use flux core just because it makes more work and you have a less chance for it to be a nicer product. Of course, I'm limited on light here. It's hard not to get greedy with welding. So I'm like, it's a good bead, let's roll. And then the breaker's like, now. Which can get awful frustrating. That's why you wear gloves. Burn the hell out of your hands. I can finish welding this. Cool. And you get slag buildup in your tip. Make sure you keep that clean. It's more important when you have gas because the shield gas can't come around the wire. So you gotta make sure that that tip stays clean. This little guy here, this cone, in here, you'll get slag buildup. You gotta make sure you keep this clean, especially when you have gas, because the gas can't get around it to shield it. That's why you don't need flux core when you have gas, because the flux core creates that shield, which is liquefied and on the wire, where gas, it's a cleaner weld, but you need gas to go around that to shield the oxygen. So that way it doesn't just build up slag and rust and garbage in between the welds, and you won't get a good penetration. So now, shut that off, turn this back on so we can breathe. When you're working out here with metal and stuff and welding and grinding, you have good ventilation so you don't breathe in this crap. I should have a respirator underneath my helmet. I haven't bought one yet. They're just really expensive. And they're like $100 a pop, plus the filters are like $70 a pop. So it's a lot of money. I don't have that right now. The holidays just over. We're just over, so I don't have that extra disposable to be able to throw into it. But like anything, slow upgrades. Cool, okay. So now we get that built. I need more fire brick. But I might have just enough. Because really I only need one for each foot. And then two for the front. So I think I'm probably good. So now, we've got our door mocked up. This is the front. I'm going to put a little handle off this end and off this so I can grab my tongs and slide out of the way. And the pin's going to go on this side right here. So now what I need to do is put this on the surface. I'm going to put it on, I have a little anvil over here. I'm going to put it on the cold anvil. That helps suck the heat out of it so I can handle it without burning my hands. So fire bricks are going to lay in. I have literally just enough, so I don't have to go buy anything, which is fantastic. Because I got a bunch of broken ones, but I need full ones for here. And the bottom of the forge is insulated too. So I do have some partial bricks I can lay on this section here. Because whatever heat I can retain, the better. So I think I'll put my, put my broken ones in the frame here. Help hold the heat from going to the floor. If I don't have to go buy it, I'd rather not go buy it. Yeah, that'll do, pig. That'll do. foliage. That guy here. Oh, this is way better. So far, I am super happy with this. Very happy with how this is coming out. Get my door. The door's going to sit right there. And then the plan is to have it on a pin so it swings out of the way. And then I can get in and out of it and swing it shut. I don't want it dragging on the bricks, that way it moves freely. I have to slide this guy over. So it's going to be offset just a little bit, most likely. I might have to put a ring here for it to slide through. A piece of pipe would probably work the best, but I don't know if I have one. I might have to make one, which I can make a ring. I could forge a ring and wrap it. I'd rather not. I'd rather be done. But I don't believe I got a piece of pipe that'll work the best. Like, I've got this little guy. That might work. Weld it there. Have it pass through. But this is really thin stuff. And my rod will fit in it. So that could work. Placeholder. Okay. And now, because I don't want this touching, I want it to be up a little bit. I'm going to take my shims. It's still pretty toasty. I'm going to shim it up off the brick. So I have to replace these bricks. And if the door's in the way for a reason, I can pull the door out, obviously. But if I'm being lazy, and because the steel's nice and hot from welding it, because it's holding the heat because of the fire bricks, I'm just going to set that up. Put our little shims in there. I want it as square to the face as I can. And I can kick the forge over to make it work too, because the forge is kind of crooked on here. Which is probably what I'm going to have to do. Over. And the forge face is all kind of bent and warped because I've been using it for a couple of years now. But maybe I'm going to want the lip on the back side, which is fine. I can still put a handle on it. My plan is still to put a handle on it. So let's try to rotate and see what's going to make that. Oh, that's a way better fit. I like that better. We're doing that. Executive decision. But I want it to be higher up. So, shims. You know what? If I had a flat shim, that would be better. So, I am going to put the lip on the inside because it's going to go over this ridge a little better and it'll help hold the heat from escaping through the top. So for my shim, I got a piece of leaf spring. It's relatively flat. It's a little broader, a little nicer. And I think it's going to have better clearance if I do that. So I'm going to take the shim. Oh, that's way nicer. I like that way better. Let's do that. Happy. Cool. Now that that's what that needs to be, take our 1/2 inch rod, and it's going to be like that. Actually, I'm going to mount it on that side because it'll be a little nicer. It's a little more of a flatter surface, so it's going to go like that. Good. So I want it to drop down past it so it has no chance for it to come out. Where's my tape? There's my tape. Found my tape. It's right here. Shut that off. It's starting to cool off in here. I have a big fan on my ceiling to help pull the heat out of here, because in the summer when I'm forging out here, it'll be 150 degrees in the shop. So I got a big vent fan on the ceiling, and I have a little vent fan in my grinder room. That way I can get the fumes out of here, because all the heat and all the fumes rise, so it can get sucked outside, and I can go out through that wall if I need to. But having that fan on for that short amount of time dropped it 10 degrees in here. So I only run it if I have to run it. So let's go 12 inches. 12-inch pin will be plenty. And for this one little cut, I'm not going to bother moving the camera. So if we go 12 inches with our soapy stone, I'm not going to bore you guys by making you seasick just to get over there for one little cut to come back. So we have our 12-inch soapstone mark. That'll hang down plenty. And I'll need a good pipe, and I'll probably have to do a support for the pipe on the bottom to hold it, because that door's gonna be heavy, and I don't want it to bend and have a big kink in it. Especially when it gets hot, it's gonna want to bend over. So I'll probably do a piece of angle iron on the bottom, with a rib down, so it'll actually hold a little nicer. So I'm gonna go cut this real quick. Apologize for the delay. Okay, so this little pin is going to go right there. And ideally, I would like a piece of pipe that fit nice and tight, because it'll get rid of play, and it'll also be less likely for it to bend and warp. But unfortunately, I got some play in here, which is also why I'm picking it up, because if it does bend a little bit, it'll still swing, and I won't have to fight with it. So ideally, I would like a piece of pipe that actually fit a little nicer. So I might have to dig for something, or do some eyelets out of some angle iron. I got some angle iron here that has holes in it. I got this stuff. It's galvanized, so welding it's not very fun, but I could drill these holes out so they have a tighter fit. But I don't like welding galvanized without a mask, because it makes a lot of really nasty fumes, more so than if you're just welding any other kind of steel, because this is coated and it's not good for you at all. So if I don't have to use this stuff, I would rather not. But that might be my option. Or I cut some leaf spring and drill some holes in it and do it that way, which is probably what I'm going to end up having to do, because I get a really nice snug fit, and I can position the holes up better. So I'm probably going to do that way. And this is nice and flat on the bottom, so I got a good flat spot to weld to, and then I can always do a rib on the bottom to keep it from bending, and then wrap it with some angle iron so it makes a nice pin housing. So, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a magnet and hook that right there where I want it. Or I could just hold it and tack it and call it a day. So probably what I'm going to end up doing is just holding it, tacking it, and calling it a day. I think so. Okay, that's cool enough now to where I can handle it without it burning my hands. It's still warm, but I'm not going to torch my hand. Just pin is going to sit like this. And this I want nice and straight, so my door's not crooked. As straight as I can get. So probably what I'll end up doing. I'm going to do a little more prep work here. There. Yep, we're just gonna free ball it, I think. And it looks like I'm running out of heat already in my propane heater. Par for the course. I'm gonna clamp it on this side because I have more steel to hold to. A little BB Hobart hunk of crap. It's not a hunk of crap, it's a good welder. Don't be mean. Alright. Mounting helmet. Oh. Shut the heater off. I do have an electric heater out here to help make up for the dwindling fuel. But that draws a lot of juice. My welder doesn't like it. Doesn't like having to run with it, so. And if it's glowing red, it can break off still. So before you let go, wait for it to be the same color as the rest of the metal around it. That way you can let go and it won't just roll. Sorry, my big goofy noggin's in the way. You can't see nothing. Now that I got that so it won't move, I'm going to take this off and turn it so I can actually have a better vantage point, see what I'm doing. Hey! Looks like junk. Hey, now. terrible. That one actually not decent. That one looks like a chicken sat on it. Sure. Breaker. You know what? I'm happy with that. We're gonna go with that. Out from my chicken poop. This is kind of a vital piece of the whole thing. This doesn't work well. It's gonna put a hamper on the whole thing. So I'm gonna clean it off and actually look at what I'm doing. You know what? It's good enough for government work, which barely does any work. So turn my fans on so I can breathe. It's the only trouble about doing it out in the middle of winter in an unheated shop, other than hodgepodge. Thank you. Suck some of this crap out of here so we can see what we're doing, because it's froggy. Ground off, go with that. This stuff. With my hand shoes, so we can handle this without burning our hands. Yep. Glove smoking. That would have been very unfortunate for the old hand. Nice. Sits very nicely. So now, we need some rings. Put a little pipe here. I mean, that will work. It's just gonna have too much play in it. I don't want to have to shim this pipe. I want it to be a tight fit so it doesn't get all tippy wonky. Oh, and this is the boring part. Watch you guys having to watch me look around my shop and try and figure something out. I don't think I have any more pipe. Still have scrap steel. Probably gonna have to drill a hole and some leaf spring. Use that. It's all I got square tube. I even had this flat stock. It's not very rugged. It's don't want to bend the bot. Well, it looks like that is the course we're going to have to take. The only nice piece I got that worked really well, I'm using as a shim. So I'll have to use a different piece as a shim. Unless I can find another flat piece of leaf spring that's not too messed up. Find a different shim that's got the same thickness that I like. This is where I'll get bored, stop watching. I don't blame you. Huh? Silly me. I have this. It can catch on fire, but it's the same thickness. Cool. And it's relatively flat. Okay. Oh, my hand shoes. Get over here. So I'm going to have to use that piece of flat stock leaf spring, poke some holes in that on my drill press. So we're going to use this, poke some holes in it, poke a hole in it. I'm only going to have to cut 2. It's pretty rugged stuff. That's not just going to bend. That should hold this, especially if it's tight. But ideally, I would like it to go through 2. Because that's going to go on the bottom. That. I'll have to run a piece of angle iron across. Or I'll have to make a box. I would like one more come across the top, ideally. So I don't have a piece of pipe that'll work. It's also this one. Alright. So I'm going to have to drill this out. And then I'll put a piece of flat angle iron across the bottom to keep it from bending. That's probably what I'm going to have to do. Which will work. So I need a 9-inch piece of angle iron across the bottom after I put this in. So I need 2 pieces, or ideally a piece that's nice and flat that goes the whole span. Whole span would be better. So we can find a half-plane flat section, and because my forge is up down, I can't straighten these out very well. So I need to bending them where I want them. I have a whole pile of leaf springs. All of leaf springs got a nice little bend to it. There's no real good flat section. It's a piece that's got a big bend in it. What say you? All bent. Little piece of channel. Or I'll have to just cut a cookie and shim it, which is probably what I'm going to have to do. That's what we're going to have to do, I guess. So I'm going to have to do a piece and a piece and shim it and then angle iron across. So I cut this in half. It's got to stick out a little bit farther, so about 1 inch past it. So right about there. Grab my soapy stone. Wow. I got 9 people watching. You guys are still here? I would have left. I'm the guy doing the work. I would have left. I'm humbled. Thank you for hanging out with me. All right. So I need 2 pieces. Actually, I could do a 1-inch piece that way because it's just a shim to keep the angle iron nice and level and flat. But that's the one I need for over here, so I have enough to poke a hole in it. Bro. Excuse me. And if this doesn't work, I can grind off my welds and put a piece of pipe in. Or worst comes to worst, I do a frame, which I'd rather not do. I'd rather have it quick and easy, pop it in, pop it out, call it a day. So, all right, cut that off. We have a flat stock for our pattern for the other side. It's 2 o'clock already. Can't even get out my shop at a decent time when I have a day off to do it. Too much other stuff going on. So I'm gonna have to cut these 2 pieces, clean them up on the bench grinder. So I got nice, and then mark out where my hole's got to be. Put a pilot hole in, put the big hole in, test fit it, weld it on, call it a day. Okay. Well, let's go do it. Phone's gonna die, so I'm gonna have to plug that in. That's my big old fan. It's got a little thermostat right here, so you can adjust the temperature so it kicks on at a certain temp, or you can just turn it off. Really cheap, really nice to have. I just realized this is really bouncy. I am sorry. Plug in the cell phone, 'cause it's gonna die. This is the stuff you don't see on videos because it's not live. You can edit all the garbage out of here and keep it actually mildly interesting. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Lights. Headphones. Eyeballs. Action. Cutting oil. Take the stuff, heat up. Belgian gold tab. That's all. Add a drop in the cup. Breaker. Turn the heat off. Unplug everything. This is annoying. Very annoying. Because I'm cutting something so short, I don't want my thumb near that blade, so I'm gonna get a push stick. That way I can keep good leverage on it, and feed it through without getting my fingers. And if it cuts the wood, I don't care. Brilliant. Cool. So now we have that done. Got my two little pieces. And the nice thing about soapstone is if you have to use cutting oil, you can still see your line. It doesn't get rid of it. So now we're going to move over to the drill press. I don't know why it took me that long, but I did, and I apologize. But actually, while I'm standing here, I already, well, no, I gotta measure it. I was gonna say I need to cut a piece of angle iron for the bottom brace, but I have to measure once all those pieces are in first, because it's gonna be past 9 inches. So that guy there, shims for my bottom plate. That way I don't get into my frame and mess up my bit. Put my shims in the bottom, so when it's, while I'm drilling, if I get sawdust coming out of it, I know I went all the way through. But we're gonna have to measure out how far this has to stick past the frame, which that's 1 inch, so the extra, and I gotta poke a hole in it and I can line up where it needs to be, slide it on, tack weld it, call it a day. So take my shim. Make sure that's gonna work. Cool. Plenty of room. So now I got my shim, my piece to lay out. I'm gonna do flush when I weld, so it gives me a nice bite. Get it relatively lined up. It's not perfectly square, it's fine. So my hole needs to be on this side here. So this side is my stud where I'm hooking to, so I don't drill on that side. And I'm just gonna put it in the middle, and I can move it one way or the other. I got enough room to work with it. Put this guy about the middle so I don't hit my jaws while I'm drilling. Give this a good squeeze. My shims are a little bit bigger, so I need one shim instead of two, because my shims are wider than this. That's center of the jaw. Hold this flat. Tight bite on it. We're just gonna go about the middle. It's pretty close. This is where cutting oil is really nice. And then while I'm drilling, I'll move you guys so you can actually see what I'm doing. So I got that squared away. I'm gonna grab a light so I can see. Slide my welder out of the way. Stop tripping on that. As you can see, my shop is not really set up for filming. And I'll probably have to put you guys... I guess it really doesn't matter. Either way, it's going to be a bad spot, so... This is all this stuff you don't see. The behind the scenes. All the crap you have to do to film. And why it takes things so much longer to do when you have to film what you're doing. That's not going to work there, so I'm going to have to move this anyway. That'll work. So now I need to plug you guys in to a spot you can actually see what's happening, which means an extension cord again. Well, I really would like that light. I don't really have a long enough cord. Sorry this is so boring for you guys. I'm gonna wait for me to frickin' scramble and figure it out on the fly. Phone's charging, cool. There. Hopefully my arms won't be in the way. I'll do this. Plug this in. Unplug that. Don't need that. So now we have light. Not a great vantage point, but basically that. Okay. On. Throw a bit of oil in there. That is a sucky vantage spot. You guys aren't going to see nothing. Sorry, I'm using my anvil as a camera stand. Definitely not AI, because AI wouldn't do this bad. Can we see? Not bad. Cutting oil helps your drill bit last a little longer. See the curly cues? We want those. That means our pressure's right, the temperature's good. Almost all the way through. And a little dollop in there. When we hit sawdust, we know we're all the way through. See the sawdust? That's how we know we're through. Cool. Now that that's done, we get our bigger bit, our 1/2-inch bit. But first thing I need to do is make sure it's actually the right dimensions. I need my extra piece, which was behind me the whole time. So we got this is our pin stock for our hinge. So now what I need to do is get a drill bit that's the same. Whisker bigger, it'll slide in and out a little nicer. And that is a little smaller. Hopefully I have one big enough. That is a little bit smaller, so I'm probably gonna have to take the grinder and clean it up. Don't know if I got a big enough bit. I would rather not. I'd rather have it be just a touch bigger. That way I don't have to clean it up. I can just mount it and call it a day. But does not bode well. Okay. So that's the biggest one I have. We're gonna have to make it work. This bit is kind of thrashed. It's the exact same dimensions, so if I have to clean this out a little bit with the Dremel, I can do that. Again, more work, more steps, but change this guy out. Bye. Bye again. Everything wants to be on the floor. You back. Well, that would be why, because this is literally the biggest bit I can put in here. I'm gonna have to move my table to it, I guess, but make sure it's nice and tight. I always test it. Make sure it's centered, because if it's not, it's gonna wobble. You don't want to break anything. So we gotta drop our table. Get all the garbage out of the way. Make sure we can bypass, which we can. All right. More cotton oil. Holy smokes, that's loud. That bit is thrashed. This is just a little baby bench top Harbor Freight special. Doesn't have the power, but it'll do it. She can't complain about it though. All the more reason we have to go slow. Lots of fluid. Oh, about halfway. So we're actually doing better than I thought we were going to do. as you get to the end, it will have a tendency to want to grab and spin, so you gotta be very careful when using these things. Depth choppers. Cool. We went through. Now, if I can remember where I keep putting all my stuff, I had that piece of threaded rod, pin stock right here, and that went somewhere due to all the vibration and nonsense. It probably fell down. Now I gotta find it. Where did I put it? You guys remember where I put it? Where the heck did I put that there? This is annoying. ADD brain. Where did I put that pin stock? Did it fall on the floor? Is it hiding somewhere that I can't see? Most likely. What the heck? I literally had it right here. Oh my goodness, right in front of my face. Okay. Now we got our hole drilled. This is as big as we can go on the bench, on the drill press. We'll see if this fits. It is an exact fit. So what I need to do is open this hole up a little bit with the Dremel, because it will go, but it's not gonna like it. So now I need to take my Dremel and clean this out a little bit so I can put the pin in there and be able to actually go in and out a little nicer. But then at least I can whittle it so it's the fit I want. So now I'm gonna put this in my vise. I'll move you guys again. Put it in my leg vise. And of course, I gotta keep moving spots. Sorry for the shoddy camera work. Make you seasick. As you can see, filming is not my forte. So now, grab my little Dremel. And I'm going to need a nice small bit so I can fit inside. I could probably hand file it. I have a steel round files. Nozzle. 2-bit has been over here. Calling himself a blacksmith and metalworker. Disorganized mess. Actually fits pretty decent. I don't have to fight it too bad. And it's got a little bit of play, which is kind of why I wanted to. But that's why we have a shim under there, so it can drop a little and it won't be a end of the world. Won't have too much leverage. I want to be able to take the door out and in without having to fight it. So that'll work. So now I'll probably just use the angle grinder. It'll be a lot faster than putting it on my belt sander. I don't have to hold on to it because it won't be as hot. So we'll just do that. And the camera's already set up, and I don't have to keep moving stuff. Make sure we get a good grip on that because I don't want that coming out on my angle grinder. That would be bad. Fine. All right. Question is, there it is. Question answered. I'm gonna put a new flat disc on here because this is pretty rusted. It's gonna plug it up pretty fast. It's already 3 o'clock.